It's 2025, and you know what that means. A bunch of people going back to the older Splat games to make videos on them. Well, probably not as many for this game since the servers went down. So today, I wanted to make a video about everything you need to know about Splatoon 1 in 2025 in case you were interested in playing it or just wanted to see how the game's progressed since the shutdown. I'm going to go over how to play online, meta builds, damage up numbers, Splatfests, how to get good gear, and so much more. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, then stick around because this is the ultimate Splatoon 1 starter pack. Okay, so how do you actually play the game? As many of you know, in 2024, Nintendo shut down the servers for Wii U and 3DS games, Splatoon 1 included. So, how do you play online? Well, that's where Pretendo comes in. Pretendo is a free replacement for the Wii U and 3DS servers that you can use either on your home console or an emulator. If you've ever heard of Wiimify for the Wii and DS, it's pretty similar to that, but how do we connect to it? Well, it's different depending on what you're using to connect, so I'm not going to go over all the steps for how to connect, but the website has a tutorial that's very helpful for setting stuff up. And you can even do it without modding your console if you want. It only requires changing some internet settings and making an account. The link to how to install Pretendo will be in the description below if you want to check it out. Something you should probably note about Pretendo servers is that you might see this error when joining a lobby, and this is a pretty normal error to get. Just queue enough times and eventually it'll go away. A couple other things about Pretendo matchmaking. Since there's not enough people at the separate ranks to get them to play together, Pretendo gets rid of the ranked matchmaking entirely, allowing all ranks to play with each other. You get a different amount of points for a win depending on how your team's ranks match up against each other, so it's pretty similar to how Splatoon 2 X rank worked if you've ever played that. Also, I don't have many friends, but I'm assuming squad battle also doesn't work since there's probably not enough people for that, but I'd be happy to be proved wrong. Turf war and private battles work the exact same way you'd expect them to. And the final change is that Splatoon 1 rotations used to be 4 hours long, but on Pretendo, they're only 2 hours long, just like in Splatoon 2 and Splatoon 3. Alright, so now that we're in Pretendo, now what? Well, that's basically all you need to know if you just want to play the game again. But if you're looking for some extra tips, don't worry, I got you. First, let's talk about gear. The main meta for Splatoon 1 is quick respawn and stealth jump. Quick respawn activates every time you die, making it incredibly broken, and stealth jump makes your super jumps completely invisible. Unsurprisingly, these were both changed in future games, but in Splatoon 1, they are king. If you're using this, just stack as much QR as humanly possible, and just jump in every time you die. It's pretty easy. If you want to try something else though, you can also mess around with damage up. Using damage up on certain weapons can reduce their time to kill by one shot if someone is already damaged. If you played Splatoon 2 with main power up, you probably already know how scary a damage up bamboo or Splattershot Pro can be, and while these weapons aren't broken in this game since quick respawn and stealth jump is generally better on most weapons and defense up also exists, it's still fun to play around with. If you're wondering how much damage up you need for each weapon, don't worry because I made a chart for that since I couldn't actually find the numbers myself. It's important to know that these are the minimum amounts of damage up you will need, meaning if someone runs any amount of defense up, it'll mess up your damage numbers completely depending on how much they run. Thankfully, defense up is pretty rare because damage up is also kind of rare, although personally I'd recommend using one sub of defense up since it'll help combat any damage up users that you might run into online. Some of the big standouts in this list are Slosher, which can combo with its outside burst bomb damage into its main weapon for an insanely easy kill, which makes this weapon completely broken. H3, which can get away with running stealth jump and a decent amount of QR while still running damage up. And the backline chargers, which you should pretty much always be running damage up on regardless, as it lets you kill with partial charges, and the effect stacks really well with damage up, allowing for some really fast kills. A lot of these other weapons are very situational, especially the ones that require a lot of damage up, like Rapid, and for some of these you'd probably rather just use QR and stealth jump anyways. This machine one is probably the biggest example of that. This was just a meme that I threw in there because I thought it was funny. Thank you to Art for testing this for me because I did not have max damage up gear to test this with. It's a meme, but it looks pretty funny in matches when you just one-shot people with it. Now speaking of weapons, if you've ever watched Prochara's tier list video for this game, you probably have a good idea of what weapons are good, and this tier list is pretty accurate to the weapons that you'll see in solo queue most of the time. But if you're bored and want to try some of the worst weapons, I made a list for that too. This list isn't set in stone or anything, I made it in like 10 minutes, but if you want some mediocre picks, here you go. Anyways, now that you have your weapon, it might be time to build some gear. And getting gear is incredibly hard in this game since the literal only way to do it is basically just a slot machine. But here's a trick for getting the perfect gear that you want. Savescumming. Okay, so post-editing Lappy here, I completely forgot that Pretendo accounts don't really like it when you move save data around. And when recording footage for this, I just kept getting an error, so I don't actually think what I was going to say works anymore. There probably still is a way to save scum if you have Save Me with a homebrewed Wii U. by just backing up your save and then restoring it if you don't get the stuff you want. But the actual method I went over in the video doesn't work anymore, and I did link the guide in the description anyways if you want to check it out, since there is still strategies if you do end up backing up and restoring your save data through the homebrew way. Oopsie. Should be worth noting, if you have a hacked Wii U, you can always just hack the gear too. Alright, well that's all the basics if you want to start playing this game in 2025 again, but here's some extra stuff that you might be interested in. Let's talk about Splatfests. So obviously Splatfests haven't been a thing for a while, even before the shutdown, but for the past couple years a Discord server called Splatfestival has been hosting custom fests for Splatoon 1. However, at the moment, custom fest matchmaking isn't really a thing yet on Pretendo. There is private battle fests, and I think one was hosted literally a week ago, so if you're interested in that, I'd be sure to check it out. Additionally, I believe there was a Pretendo beta tester Splatfest that also happened not too long ago, so hopefully later in 2025 we might see more about that. A link to the Splatfestival Discord will also be in the description below. Another thing I'd like to mention is Stat.Inc. Stat.Inc is a website used to track Splatoon matches and stats, and I've been using it to track my Splatoon 3 badge stats for a while now. But there actually is a way to track your Splatoon 1 stats still, and I've been doing it for the past week using a program called IkaLog. Now, the tutorial to IkaLog is a little outdated since it is like 8 years old, and it would be too long to put in this video, so I made an entirely separate tutorial video for it that took like 3 hours to put together. So, if you are interested in that, it will also be in the description. I'm really pulling out all the stops in this video. Alright, let's end it off with some fun stuff. There's a lot of fun glitches, exploits, and out-of-bounds stuff in Splatoon. Now there's a whole bunch of glitch videos on YouTube for this game, and a bunch of channels like the Max and Wesley that have plenty of glitch videos. However, it's kinda hard to tell how many of these are patched nowadays, because a lot of these videos are just, you know, a little old. But in my search, I found a video by another content creator by the name of DarkMoth7 who did a video trying some of these glitches out in 2024. So while I don't know how many of these old glitch videos work, I do know the ones in his videos work, and I even did a couple of them myself in the intro to this segment. So if you're looking for some stuff to try out, the link to his video will be in the description. If you're looking to replicate some more advanced stuff, I'll have a link to the Max in the description below. I can't guarantee that all of the glitches in his videos will work, but hey, if you do any of them, you should totally send them to me. Now there is one out-of-bounds exploit that you don't need to coordinate with anyone to do, and one that you don't even need online for. And it's also probably my favorite out-of-bounds glitch in the entire series. Just go to the back of the plaza by these two people talking. If there's no one here, just enter the battle dojo and leave until they spawn in. Then jump over this Inkling's head, and while midair, go into squid form and hold left. It's pretty tricky, but if you do it right, you will clip through the wall and be able to walk outside the plaza. From here, you can check out the shops, the amiibo box, and some random buildings. Just be careful though, because not everything here has collision, and if you die, you're gonna have to do the glitch all over again. But it is pretty funny to watch your character respawn in the middle of the plaza. And finally, if you enjoyed this video and want to see more Splatoon 1 content, I've been streaming it over on my Twitch, Lappy64. I put a lot of time and effort into this video, probably way more than I should have in 2 days, so if you enjoyed it, please give it a like and share it to anyone who you think would be interested in playing the game. And of course, let me know in the comments if you have any questions. See ya!